Progressive Field packed 108,000 people into the ballpark over the weekend for the Guardians to play the Phillies, and they took 2 or 3 from a very good team. They came to the series 2 games out of first place, got themselves back to 500, and they start the week 3 games back of the Twins. So, a bunch of steps forward and a lot more steps back.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. If you watch my now, you know that I felt like this was a weekend that you felt good about 2 out of 3. I didn't expect to take 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, but you just left wanting a little bit more. This is our last double show for the week. I'm traveling the next 2 weeks. Justin's going to be doing the hard leg work. If anything big happens, maybe I am a blank image on the screen. We'll figure something out for distance communication. I may not be in here in video, but at least then we can get some audio across. But it's gonna be great hands with Justin running the ship solo. We might have
lots of things are gonna happen.
We might have a meetup. I'm bouncing 5 different stops in the next 2 weeks, so I would circle if you're looking for a potential thing. Maybe that Saturday where the White Sox are in town might be the best opportunity. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Nothing official yet, but that Saturday. I will be in a Cleveland suburb, so it even makes more sense. But yeah, we are, having some fun with this team. We had a bunch of draft signings. Spent so much time on Mo Rude, and then hey, he's not one of the guys. Thanks a lot, D1 Baseball. But
it was happening.
A fantastic job. I love Burke over there in particular. Burke's the dude. Burke Ranger. Make sure you're following him. But we're going to talk about the draft signs. We're talking about this weekend. There's so much to discuss, so I'm just going to shut up and let's start with this Philly series.
Yeah, obviously, look, they played well against a good team. They were in all 3 games. They probably got away with one on Friday with Williams, who didn't have any control. We found out later that he was starting to have a blister issue, and the team expects him to make his next start, but which
is scary. Blisters are scary.
They are, yeah. They seem to. They're downplaying it right now, so it seems like it's going to be fine. We'll see.
They don't have nothing from Adam Miller. Nothing from Adam Miller.
That was a tendon, though. That was a tendon issue.
No, it was blisters first, and then it was the tendon. First, it was blisters. It started as a blister.
Those 2 can't be related.
No, it started with the blisters, but yeah, what kept him, the tendon was the final straw for him, but what kept him from getting to the big leagues. Adam Miller is literally the highest, most hyped prospect of my lifetime in terms of Cleveland Guardians pitching, and it was finger blister issues. That's where it started.
Yeah, so they expected to make his next
Gavin
start.
Williams.
Yeah, I don't even know if Gavin. Well, I would say Espino, right? Espino would be more hype.
Yeah, his own set of issues, but yeah, Miller was the guy. But yeah, I went through all this I started writing.
I know. I remember the days of Adam Miller
and Chuck Lofgren, and those we don't need to go in the top 10 lists of 2007, but those were dark times. I think last year's AA squad had more talent than the entire Guardians minor leagues in 2007.
It was bad.
It was ugly, but
yeah, Jake Dittler. Yeah, I remember. I went to a lot of those games. I was not quite the prospect guy I am now, but I remember those games. So the guy that wasn't as hyped that you and I hyped, a little before everybody else, Tanner Bibee. That was an incredible performance on Saturday night. Just
pretty good.
Man, he had everything working for him on Saturday night. He was averaging 95. He was getting swings and misses with the fastball, getting swings and misses with the slider. The changeup was ridiculous. He got Bryce Harper looking bad on a couple of changeups, and the curveball, which is really his 4th best pitch. It's maybe an average pitch for him. He got Castellanos chasing. I know Castellanos is not having didn't have a great weekend. He's been kind of a slump lately, but he had 22 swings and misses on Saturday. This is a good veteran Phillies lineup. This is a
very good team.
The Phillies are top 5, or I think they're top 5 in baseball in terms of strikeout rate among hitters. So this is a team that does strike out a bit. They are not they are the opposite of the Guardians. They walk because look at Kyle Schwarber's a leadoff hitter hitting a $185, but he is an above average offensive producer because he walks and it's obviously they don't.
I
want
to Joey Gallo this offseason. Gallo is kind of similar.
Poor man Schwarber, except he plays better defense. Schwarber should not be moonlights in left field. I mean, this team, they don't care about defense. They don't really care about speed outside of Bryson Stott and Trey Turner, and I guess Brandon Marsh is a good runner too. But this is a team that strikes out a bit. They walk, they hit for power. But they are good. I mean, they literally don't have any real rookies in this lineup. Stott is a rookie or a second-year player.
I think he's second year.
Boehm is a young player, but he's been around a couple of years now.
But he's struggled a bit. He's not, but it's a good team.
Yeah, it's a good team. And Bibee went out there, and this is easily the best start of his career. One of his, since that San Diego start, he has really just kind of flipped another switch and highest swings and misses in a game for him. The curveball was the best I've ever seen it from him. He's the best pitcher on the staff for me right now. And again, I hate to sit here and goof around because this is not a serious playoff team right now. They are only a playoff contender because of their division. But like, if they were to somehow start a playoff series tomorrow, I'm sorry, Tanner Bibee has to be your game one guy because there's nobody else in this team I would trust over Tanner Bibee right now. And I expect that to be the case going into next year because we're going to talk about some of the injury updates later in the show as well.
Take a moment and do this, as I believe I
don't hurt yourself.
First person
we don't have an injured list here, Jeff.
No,
I know,
we don't. But I think
you're on vacation next couple
person
days.
to put him at the top of the organizational prospect list. I believe was me. Even though you were kind of on him before, I don't know. I really bought into the profile and just the health. Like that's the big thing. Like this is a guy who had pretty much an immaculate track record. Like that was my separator because
it's such a low effort delivery and everything athleticism wise. And he just doesn't have to do a lot to throw hard because he's so strong and he worked on those things. But they won that game by a little bit of luck too. And obviously Bibee pitched his rear end off. But like the pop up that Jose Ramirez wasn't even on second on that pop up because he didn't hustle, which irony of all ironies, right? They ended up scoring because of another blooper.
He didn't have a great hustle weekend. This was not Jose at his finest.
Yeah, I mean Sunday. We'll talk about Sunday. Him and Josh Naylor being 0 for 10, so they got away with one. They got away with two of them, really. Like if you think about it, Friday night, Gavin Williams had the bases loaded 3 times. Nick Sandlin came in to clean up Tim Herron's mess Friday, where he walked 3 batters. And then the next inning, he walks a batter of his own and gives it back-to-back homers. And it's like, okay, that's a mess. And then Clase and Stefan were good Friday, which is good. But they played with fire all day. Friday got away with it, even though they hit some, which is good to see. Saturday, they got lucky offensively, and because Bibee kept them in the game all night. And then
I had someone get mad at me, like, why aren't you giving Ahmed his praise for him hustling them to a win on Saturday? I'm like,
I mean, yeah, well, okay, because he did what you're supposed to do. That's the one time Jose literally didn't quite do what he needs to do. I mean, and in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. He probably would have scored a second run if he had hustled. Ahmed just ran the bases with 2 outs like you're supposed to do. So, like, that's fine. You can give him credit for that, but those are the things you should be doing. Like, that's not a extra hustle. That is a thing they tell you in spring training and Little League. With 2 outs, you run until the ball is caught. And he ran. Like
he should always run to first base, no matter what happens as a pitcher, just in case. Oh, wait.
Oh, that hurt Sunday. Yeah, they. I mean, okay, I guess they didn't do enough things to win Sunday. I thought Sunday they probably should have won a little more than Friday night. Like Friday and Sunday they were reversed. But yeah, you're right. Sunday wasn't great. Like Jose, tough play in left field. He dropped that ball. I don't know if that's necessarily an easy play, the way he was angled towards that. And then, Henches didn't cover first base.
It's just like, I don't know. I watched that and I went back and I rewound it and I was like, should the outfielder have called him off? Should Quan have, like, with Quan's range, I thought he could have got there.
Yeah,
it was a hard angle. And then for me, it was more like in the 12th, it felt like he wanted to be the hero. Like that, like Jose knew that was a ball that he knocked ball 4. Instead of taking ball 4, he swung at it. And
they were not trying to pitch to him. Yeah. I mean, I texted you and I was like, man, when did Jeff Hoffman get? Oh, it was Junior Marte. No, Marte didn't face him. Did Marte face Jose?
Yes, okay. Marte came in and faced Jose and got him to fly out because they weren't going to throw him anything, and he bailed him out because he was swigging at everything.
And then Naylor did the same thing, unfortunately.
It was not great. And then, like I said, the Henches, you don't expect Bell to make the play at first, but him not
going get there. That's
that's a run.
That's spring training 101 right there.
he was falling off the mound, and then he hesitated before running over. Kyle Schwarber shouldn't beat you in a foot race. Schwarber beat him in a foot race. That's not a good look. And then today might have been the rare day where, I liked how they deployed Straw, but like Straw not playing center might have hurt them, because if you looked at Brennan wasn't as used to playing center. So on that triple, I think it was a 3 bouncer that Brennan threw in, and Brennan doesn't have the arm of Straw like them. You might have been able to keep him at second if it was Straw. It may not get as many bounces. It was not as cleanly fielded as I think it normally be. So it was just these little things that you can nitpick. I mean, if Andres Jimenez doesn't foul off a ball, then he doesn't hit, into a double play, and then it's a 2-run home run by Fry. Like all of it, it's so many little things that could have changed that game, which is why I think you're right. Why Sunday is the game they should have won, because it's a half an inch, like in a dozen different ways, and they win. But they don't need all of them, just one of them.
Yeah, I want to get into some more of those decisions on Sunday. We want to get into just how the roster is shaping up right now and moves they might need to make. So hang on for that in just a second. We'll get into more of Sunday's game and the series and where the Guardians are going and where they haven't gone. We'll get to all that here coming up.
Want to win 100 times your money on daily fantasy baseball? Sleeper is now offering a 100 times payout for up to 8 pick contest. Choose as many as 8 players you like and pick more or less on your favorite baseball stats like home runs, strikeouts, hits, and more. Get your picks right and you could win big. So what's nice here with them as a daily fantasy is it's just like the old more or less from high school, the which way to the bigger amount is the crocodile's mouth opening. More or less. Do you think they're going to have more? Do you think they're going to have less? You pick a stat, pick a category, do your own research, and benefit 100 times the payout. They have a built-in group chat functionality where you can see and copy your group picks with a tap of a button, and your entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. It's that simple and easy. Safe and fast withdrawals as well. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. That's on top of the 100x rewards. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Guardians Royals Monday night. That is going to be Ryan Yarbrough and Logan Allen. You can listen to all of the action on your SiriusXM app by just searching Guardians. I'm not going to fault Andres Jimenez too much in that situation. So that's tricky. Like
it's more unfortunate is all I'm saying. I'm not going to fault him. It's unfortunate. Yeah, the way it played out is unfortunate. It's bad luck.
Yeah, the dice didn't really roll their way. Like you have to give Straw a pitch or two to see Kimbrel's move to the plate to time him. And Realmuto's got a good arm. Kimbrel is slow to the plate, so he can be run on. Realmuto is a good has a good arm, so he's hard to run on. So you have to get a good look at his motion of the plate before you can take off. And Andres took 2 pitches, and unfortunately, that third pitch he thought was good enough to offer, and it was a decent pitch. It was a high fastball, and he's slugged a couple of those this year, especially recently. So I don't fault him for going after it. And then, the next pitch they'll play. The only thing I lament more is that Straw wasn't running the next pitch. If he takes off stealing that pitch, the fielder is going that way anyway, so you might have doubled him off anyway.
I think
but you at least would have had he probably does, but you might have had a better chance to stay on the double play. And then David Fry, I mean, my goodness, 2 for 4, a home run off a right-hander, Craig Kimbrel of all of them.
They had to tell him it was a home run. He was standing at second base.
Yeah, he pulled the opposite of a Manny Ramirez. Yeah, I know. But also he had he moved up I can't remember if he scored a run or not, but he moved up on a wild pitch to second base, and David Fry is not.
They did not take advantage of that.
No, so he didn't score, but I'll give David Fry credit. He saw the ball in the dirt. He took off for second base, and David Fry is not a fleet of foot guy.
No,
he's a corner guy. He's a catcher. Yeah, so I'll give him credit for at least getting to the next base, taking the extra base when you have a chance. Like that's that again. This goes back to like when Mike Napoli was here in 2016. Not a great runner, but a smart heads-up base runner, and you have to be able to take the extra base when you can. That culture kind of started there, and Jose has kind of carried it through. And I'll say Ahmed too, because he's a good base runner. He got to the next base. Like David Fry continues to do all the little things and just has little ways to contribute. I'm not saying he's going to take a whole lot of extra bases, but when you do that kind of thing, in addition to that home run you just hit, and you can play a little right field, you can play some third, maybe some first and catch. Like he continues to earn. He played first today. He continues to just find ways to stay around that I don't see any reason. I don't know. I mean, it was the home run out was off Craig Kimbrell, and his numbers against right-handers aren't like fantastic, but it's all very short sample. We know he can hit lefties. He did a great job Friday of hitting Ranger Suarez, and the Phillies have a lot of lefties in their bullpen. I wouldn't be mad if they continued. I mean, they already are, but I wouldn't be mad to see him more against right-handers, because at this point you just need somebody who can go out there, and Fry happens to have a little bit of punch in his bat, whereas, half the lineup doesn't.
Yeah, I just don't like to point him in the outfield. He's not very good out there, and it's for a team where they're already down multiple pitchers, and they're like, let's just
they sacrifice defense at shortstop.
Shortstop, like,
did I say that?
Yeah. So, yeah, I it'd be nice like have him play third, have him play first occasionally. I understand you want to get Josh Bell's savant page we're talking beforehand looks fantastic. I was saying he is right now in that point where he should be like where Josh Naylor was, where he was. The data said he was going to break out. That's where Bell is, and Bell is playing better of late. So you want Bell in, you want Naylor in, you want Fry in, you want Jose in. It's like where do you play
that? If that forces Straw to the bench, and like you said, today's deployment of Straw was a little better. They use him as a pinch runner. I'm not saying he's going to play most days probably, but
yeah,
you get Fry's bat and line up in right field for 6 innings. He gets 2 or 3 at bats against a lefty, especially. And Bell is starting to tick up a little bit, and he looks like he should be coming around. I mean, he's got a 802 OPS this month, and it's not all OBP driven finally for him. Like all year, his OPSs have been like in the 700s, all because he's walking a ton. Now he's finally got a slugging percentage in the mid 400s. So, and he's always been a streaky hitter too. He's always, good one half, good not. The first half was dismal, and now it looks good. And like you said, the savant page is good. It's all except for the obviously running and the arm strength. Defense. The chase rate's still not good, but everything else is, some is at least moderately red to pretty red. So that's a good sign. And then, yeah, like you said, Straw today. I mean, I like that deployment. My only question too was, I know people got mad about Straw batting at the end of the game, and I'm like, well, who were you going to put in? You had nobody left. There was nobody left to play tonight, and at the end of the game, the only thing I can't understand is a med pinch hit for Gallagher at the end of the game, or in the 8th inning, and then Bo Naylor came in to catch. It's like, okay, so you just burned two pieces of your bench for one move. You burned it for Ahmed Rosario, a pinch hit, and he ended up striking out
against the righty, no less.
Against the righty. And then you have Bo Naylor, who he was coming in to catch anyway. So why don't you put the lefty in, who's got some thump in his bat? You needed an extra base hit anyway. It just made no sense to me why you burned two positions.
That where Fry was on second base? Wasn't that the? I think that was the Fry.
I think you're right. So yeah, and I think there was 2 outs. So I don't know if there's a guarantee that base hit would have scored him, but you probably could have used a double there, and a home run would have put you ahead.
Why are you even using a med? Like it's at the end of the day, like this isn't the first time he's been quote unquote hurt, where he's the first pinch hitter off the bench. He is not that good of a hitter, and yes, he's played better of late. But I talked about in the last 30-day period, he's been a league average bat while being, a terrible defender. It's like Ty Freeman makes that throw was it a runner on first or second? Like where I texted you today. And Ty Freeman isn't a great defender. Like he's solid. He's a solid defender at short. He's average. Ahmed is the worst defensive shortstop in baseball. So for someone who's like, hey, why are you calling for the hustle? The other day, it's like, well, he's just not good enough. And if you're going to why send a guy out who's hurt to hit anyways? Like you said, go to Naylor. Go.
He was going to come in anyway, right? He couldn't.
Well, you know what? If you want to do that, if you don't trust Naylor in that situation, go get Gabby Arias off the bench, who statistically is our best hitter against righties. Once you've already put Straw in the game, it's hard to then redeploy that outfield correctly with what you've pinch hit for. You're kind of, if he gets a hit in that situation, he's not hitting a grand slam and winning it. We know that. It's
right.
Then you're in even more trouble. I mean, it was almost better to lose than to go, to let that game keep going, because if it keeps going, they might still lose anyways, but they have no bullpen left. They have no anything. So it was just an awkward situation. I actually thought the way they deployed the defensive shift when they brought in Straw there was perfect. The way they shifted everyone down the line was, Fry to first and then Bell out of the lineup. I thought that was all great. Of course, and that meant we didn't have Bell in the ninth. I do want to point out Josh Naylor with the issue, with it not his best game, but he's been so good of late. That's the first time he hasn't had a hit since July 3rd, and the first time he hasn't reached base since the 22nd of June. Yes, there was the All-Star break in the middle of it, but he went a month reaching base. That's just how ridiculously good he has been offensively. So, we're complaining about 2 out of 3 because the Twins swept the White Sox. The Twins have Seattle. Cleveland has Kansas City. I went through everything. Cleveland has had one sweep this year. They've been swept twice. This team avoids sweeps in all shapes and forms. They have to sweep Kansas City. This has to be the time. If they really want to compete, just, wish casting ahead, you gotta just beat the living tar out of bad teams. Kansas City is as bad as they get. This needs to be like a crime. You need to beat them so badly, it's a crime. Because Kansas City is, next year's draft looks amazing. It is so college deep. The Connor, I'm blanking, Griffin, maybe I'm blanking on the name, is the prep kid who some people think might be better than all of these high. Like, it looks like a really good draft. Kansas City's playing for that right now. That is what their focus is. It's next year. It's not this year. Go beat the tar out of Kansas City. Hopefully Seattle rebounds, so they just got beat up by the Twins, and you stay competitive. But you also have to stop with these bullpen games because you got nothing left. You need to figure out if it's Gaddis. You need to figure out if Battenfield's going to be ready to go, if Cantillo's going to get some starts. But they need to do something because in many respects, again, this was a game that just half a dozen different ways could have shifted. But when they went to extra innings, they were hosed. And now they have, if you look in, this isn't my thing. I'll let you talk about what Carl Willis said, which was not great things about 99. I'll just say that. But they have no choice. 99 is going to be here tomorrow, even though I don't think they want to call him up, nor think he is ready for a call up because they have nothing left. And the bullpen is completely in tatters. And Cantillo pitched Friday. Gaddis pitched Saturday. And Valmont and Battenfield pitched today.
That's it. That's your 40-man roster right there. Yeah. That's all you got.
Yeah, that or cut someone. So, explain what Carl Willis said.
Yeah, I'll get into Carl Willis's comments, and we'll wrap up the series, and we'll talk about some trading deadline stuff and some draft stuff here in just a moment. Well, if the Guardians are going to attempt to beat the tar of the Royals, you can listen to it happen on Monday night on SiriusXM. Just search Guardians on your SiriusXM app. Yeah, so the bullpen on Sunday, the bullpen overall this weekend was okay. It had some blow-ups. I mean, Sandlin got out of Herron's mess Friday, gave up some runs of his own on Friday, and then again today, Hench, as we talked about, Hench's overall has not been good since he came back. It's been a bad month for him right now.
5 out of 7 with a run given.
Runs, yeah. They've got to figure out what's going on. If he had
an option, he would be the guy going down, I kind of feel like.
Right, he doesn't have an option. Herron, and the reason Herron might not go down is because the next time he goes down is his 4th option. You are getting close to August, so maybe you can send him down. And because look, remember the option rule now is that yes, you still have 3 option years, but you only can send a guy down 5 times. After that, he has to be forced to go through waivers to get him to AAA, and Herron will not obviously clear waivers. So if you can send him down this 4th time, then you only have 1 more time you can do it the rest of the year. And August and September can be long months sometimes, especially when you have 2 starters that are down, and even if you're going to trade another starter, and who knows what's going to happen with Quantrill. And Herron was good for the inning he came in. He got helped out a little bit by Brandon Marsh, but then he was kind of locked in after that. Yeah. And then they brought him back out for the 10th inning because he only had Trevor Stephan left because Clase wasn't available.
I'm like, that's bad. And you're like, there's no one left. I'm like, oh,
there's nobody left. And then, of course, what happened? Herron got beat up, and then Trevor Stephan, who was kind of gassed from Friday going in the 3rd, he got beat up too. No shock there because he's been inconsistent. So, yeah, there's really nobody left. I think you're right. They're going to have to call Karinchak up on Monday. I don't know. I mean, maybe Kelly maybe goes down, even though he's been one of your best relievers over the last couple of weeks. That would be unfortunate. I guess you could with Herron, but you got 1 time left with him if you do it this time. So we'll find out, but I think you're right. I think they have to bring back Karinchak. What Carl Willis said though on Sunday before the game was, the media kind of asked him about what's the status of him, what's going on. And he kind of, he mentioned, the velocity's backed up, as we've talked about last week, and he said the stuff backed up. So, as the velocity goes, the stuff kind of goes too, especially for a guy like that who relied on that. And he also mentioned, somebody asked, well, is he an option sometime to help out soon? And Carl Willis' statement was just, yeah, you've seen our bullpen recently. Like, our bullpen's been used a lot. We've struggled. He said, so if there is a need, he didn't say like it's an immediate, and this is before the game, before obviously Sunday played out the way it did. He said, if there is a need, he could be an option, but he didn't say it, the call up for Karinchak is imminent. He's not ready to come up and save this bullpen. He's not coming out on a white horse. And we said that last week too. This is not a guy who's coming to save this bullpen. He might be striking AAA hitters out, but who was it last week? Was it Tito or was it? No, it was Owen Dew, the AAA coach for the Clippers, said that's great. He's striking AAA pitchers out. We want him to strike major league hitters out. Like, they are basically saying, like, yeah, the numbers of AAA are good, but under the hood, things are not working for him. Like, the velocity's not there. The stuff isn't as good. He's dominating lesser hitters, and he's not really considered like a guy like they're prioritizing. Like, yeah, he's probably coming back on Monday, because there's nobody else if they need a bullpen help. But it's not a guy you're coming in and you're like, okay, you're back in the 8th inning. You're the setup guy. Like, you can go and scout the stat line all you want, but we're telling you what Carl Willis said and what everything else looks like under the hood. It doesn't look great. And maybe he'll come back and prove everybody wrong and pitch great. And we'll all, you'll say that we don't know what we're talking about, or Carl Willis doesn't know what he's talking about, because people don't seem to like him either. But yeah, the talk around him has not been good by the coaches. So this is an organization that doesn't really like I'm not saying they're bad talking him, but they're not exactly typing him up either. So this is an organization that's usually careful about how they talk about their players. For them to be as bluntly honest as they are about Karinchak I feel like it's pretty telling.
Yes. This is a team that typically keeps their mouths kind of closed, so it is interesting.
And we're not rooting for this either. I know the people who think that you don't like him and I don't like him and whatever. We're not rooting for him to fail. This just is what it is.
I want him to be successful, because if he pitched like he pitched last year, he is one heck of a trade asset. And this team has so many great relievers.
And they need him right now.
Yeah, and they need the depth. And even if you don't have the depth, they just drafted Andrew Walters, who I think is another great reliever, should be a fast mover. But relievers have trade value. Like, I never want anyone to fail. I want everyone to be successful. So either it makes this team better, or there's something you can trade for something.
Right. Yeah, no one's rooting to fail. It's just, again, the organization is saying between the lines that things don't look great, and they're not a team that usually does that to their players. So it's gonna be very iffy. And then, speaking of trades, Chris Anthony was on Jim Bowden's show, and for whatever it's worth with Jim Bowden, that's a radio show. Chris Anthony was on there, and he did say words. I expect Jim Bowden to be honest about this, even though he's probably hyping it for listens and for clout on social media. But he did mention that Antonetti had talked about the Guardians looking for a complimentary bat and a pitcher as well, a starter. Everybody's looking for a starter right now. So that's not a surprise. Everybody needs pitching, I think, except for I don't know. I think everybody needs pitching truthfully right now. And as far as complimentary bat goes, we've talked about all along. We've talked about a Jordan Luplow or a Brandon Guyer type. Like, even though I think that I almost said Reiner, even though I think David Fry kind of, like, you could always upgrade, but David Fry kind of fills that need to me in a way right now without having to go out and give up a piece. Like, I know we talked about Lane Thomas a little bit on here. I think Lane Thomas is due for a heavy, heavy paperweight of regression here soon. So I really don't feel good about that. And Lars Nootbaar just got hurt, actually, and Dylan Carlson. Look, Dylan Carlson, I still think there's a nice player in there, but the Cardinals are a lot better than the Guardians at developing hitters. And if they haven't figured them out, then I don't know if the Guardians can, but I like Dylan Carlson. But and the only question I have about this too, Jeff, is that let's say Chris Anthony says they're trying to look for a starter. Does that eliminate the possibility of trading Aaron Savali? Yeah. And I would say, I don't agree with that. I think the Guardians are always 1 foot sellers, 1 foot buyers. And especially this year, because of the record in the division, I think they could easily go out and still trade Savali if a deal is there that makes sense for them to trade Savali and still go get a starter, because they're not going to just pivot one way or the other. They're going to have both feet in both zones here as far as buying or selling. So remember, he's not going to say this stuff.
a little different just because they're already understaffed. Like I think they need a pitcher because they feel like they need at some point they're going to have to start resting these rookies and they're going to hit their innings limits and their pitch counts. And I think they want a rubber arm guy. So I think you can pretty much rule out Savali because if they trade him, then they need to trade for 2 pitchers because of already. I mean, we've had 2 weeks with bullpen games because they don't have someone they trust, and all of these rookies are going to start either getting shut down or extra rest soon. So I know they do have 2, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And they'll, I'm not saying they wouldn't say no if a fantastic deal came in, but I don't think they're shopping him, I guess is the way to put it. I think it would take being bowled over.
I still like the idea of moving him if there's a trade there because, like we talked about,
I mean, I agree with you 100%.
He's going to get hurt again and sell high because I don't know.
But teams are smart. Everyone knows he's going to get hurt again, and that's going to be the first thing. Like a team's going to
and the velocity dropped last time.
Yeah, and he's not going deep. They're intentionally not letting him face teams a third time through the order. And we talked about how that limits Bieber. Like if you deployed Bieber the same way you deployed Savali, Bieber would have had like an ERA under 2. So that they are trying to goose his value, but I think teams are too smart for goosing anymore.
Yeah,
the showcase isn't working.
Tony La Russa and Dave Stewart are not running the Diamondbacks anymore. You can't get who is it, Dansby Swanson for Aaron Savali anymore. Jordan Lawler for Aaron Savali would work right now if Dave Stewart and Tony La Russa are running the Diamondbacks. But they're not. Speaking of the draft, Jeff, while we're on our way out here for Monday's episode, Guardians signed 21 players, but they didn't sign 21 draft picks.
This is a little weird. So everything I said about Mulrood and then didn't sign. They did get Joe Barry. I had some stuff I sent out. They got a high school kid, Javier Torres, from Judson Baseball in Texas. Low 90s fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. Tunnels a sharp slider was the report I read. I really don't know him. But hey, it's another prep arm. For an undrafted free agent, you can give them $150K. We talked about that last time. But they did not get Mac Hewer. They did not get Ryan Marone. Reading between the lines, it feels like Mac Hewer wanted $300,000, Ryan Marone $250,000. So they needed an additional $250,000. If you look at the player list, this team typically signs everyone. So I mean, somebody had a change of heart and wanted more money. That leaves you with 3 guys that it could have been: Clemmy, Velasquez, and Alex Mooney. You can go ahead and try to figure out. I am not going to burn anyone on this, but one of those guys likely decided that it was going to take an extra $250,000 to sign. And because of that, the Guardians could not follow through on the deals with Hewer and Marone. So it's kind of crappy for those guys because they thought they had deals, but they don't. They're not signed. They're not coming here. Somebody had a change of heart and got an extra $250,000 out of it. And that's where we are. So,
unusual for the Guardians.
Yeah. Because, and if someone's like, hey, what about Walters? I got proved wrong. I had forgotten that I didn't realize he'd gone to the combine. So they literally gave him the lowest amount of money he could get having gone to the combine and passed a physical. He
had no choice, right?
Yeah. 75% of slot is the exact amount he got. So,
but he can't agree. He can't take less than that. He wasn't going to school anyway.
Yeah, but he can't take less than that. So it wasn't him. So, and I don't think Kafis would have been 250,000 less than his. So yeah, there's only 3 guys who it makes sense. And
which one of those guys had the most leverage, Jeff?
Yeah, you can definitely look at that. I mean, they all had varying degrees. The least leverage, I think, was Ralphie, honestly, of those 3. So you can take what you want from that. It's but yeah, it's unfortunate the way that came down. And the ones I feel really bad for, honestly, are Marone and Hewer, who thought they had deals and now they don't. And each of them thought that they were going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now they have not. And that's the crappiest part to me. Like, yes, they lost out on two players, and that stinks, and they might become very good. But it's more that, like, those
guys thought they were getting 125K. Yeah.
No, they thought they were getting 250 and 300,000. They thought they were getting, significant life-changing money. I'm a teacher, with a master's degree. If it's like, if I work to get 250,000, that's like, I don't know, at my average salary. I've been teaching for a decade. I've probably made that gross, definitely not net, but it took like 5 to 6 years. That is life-changing money that those kids thought they had, and those agents thought they had a cut of on guys who were day 3 picks, which is where agents survive off those margins, and everyone gets hosed because someone else rescinded their offer.
And whoever it was, the Guardians obviously felt very strongly about getting the organization, which, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. So it's a situation that's what happened. People wanted
a lot of money for Alex Clemmie. That's a lot of money, which we knew was going to happen with Clemmie because of the Vanderbilt
commitment, and a lot of money for Mooney, who was a good, not great player at Duke, but was a draft eligible sophomore, so he could have gone back for 2 years. And I said, like, I had Mooney higher rated than Clemmie, so it's very clearly one of those two. Mm-hmm. So just reading between the lines of everything, but yeah, it stinks. It's unfortunate. Like I said, Torres is an interesting guy. I'd love to know what happened with Mulrood. This isn't the first time this has happened, but Ross Kivett was the last time we saw this occur, where Kivett decided to go back to Kansas State for his junior year, didn't want to take the senior sign equivalent of money as a junior to play for his hometown team, which cost Cleveland either Justin Garza or Heath Quinn, maybe both at the time.
Well, they got Garza the next year, though.
Yeah. And Quinn ended up being like a 3rd, 4th rounder for San Francisco and not working out.
I would wonder if one of those two guys that Cleveland didn't reach a pick with, a draft with, if one of those two guys ends up going JUCO. I know they both had D1 commitments. I wonder if one of those two goes JUCO next year and tries to re-enter the draft now.
I would never advise a kid to do that. Personally, it's such a
lot of risk.
I've seen very few guys benefit, and most end up bouncing from JUCO to JUCO to, like, go look at Cole Turney, who Cleveland drafted in the 30th round a few years ago, who was a guy who had 1st round run, who went to Oklahoma, went JUCO, bounced around, and never got drafted after that. Or Zach Shannon, one of the first guys that kind of followed a path like this, that made, because him and Cameron Varga were like talked about as potential 1st rounders from Ohio, and you hadn't had 2 potential 1st rounders from Ohio in forever. And Shannon was supposed to go to Ohio State, and he bounced, eventually getting drafted by Texas and getting a real cup of coffee in the minors in general. So I would always advise, know your program, know your commit, know that you'll have the ability to play, but go play for the best program you can play for, get the most eyes on you, and just work hard and perform.
Yeah, I guess with the transfer portal, it opens things up a little bit.
And Hewer is going to be a draft eligible sophomore. He's already like 19, so he might as well.
Will the Guardians commit atrocities against the Royals? We'll find out this week. We'll find out. I'll be with you all week.
We've already gone super long, but I do want to make this one last draft statement for everyone who's still flipping out about the Myles Naylor thing. $2.2 million is ridiculous, and he's not even the best brother of a Cleveland Guardians player or prospect drafted by the Oakland Athletics. That belongs to Cole Miller, who they took in the 4th round. He's a more interesting pitcher. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, that's how Jeff feels about
that's where we end. I want to thank everyone for listening, rating, and reviewing. Downloading it helps. Do your part. Do your share. Thank you all. And go Guardians. Go.
Commit atrocities against the Royals.
Yes. All the atrocities.